So my favorite science story this week is about using large language models for therapy. There's a huge gap between the number of people who want therapy and the number of people who can actually give therapy. In the States, the number is something like for every one licensed therapist, there are 1,500 people looking for a therapist. And on top of that, there's all these, problems around who can afford therapy. And if you can afford therapy, maybe you get to see them for 45 minutes a week. There's clearly a gap. And although we'd prefer that everybody could go see a human therapist, maybe large language models could fill the gap. So researchers at Dartmouth, which by the way is where artificial intelligence as a term was first used. Anyway, people at Dartmouth did a study where they basically created something they called TheraBot. It was a large language model like ChatGPT, but based only on therapy, where everything that went into that training model was vetted and made sure that it was done properly, so that you had not just some Wild West large language model like ChatGPT that could pull answers out of anywhere, but something that knew what it was doing. And then they used it for people that needed therapy to see how well it would go. And people were looking at all the conversations between this chatbot and the people receiving therapy from it to make sure nothing went off the rails. But it was basically working on its own in the wild. And so what you had was about 200 people who signed up. Some of them had problems with depression. Some of them had problems with anxiety. Some of them had problems with the risk of developing an eating disorder. But half of them got access to this chatbot that they could talk to with their phones, and half of them were put on a waiting list. And they compared those two groups to see if the chatbot did any good. It was a 4-week trial. Over those 4 weeks, people talked to it for about a total of more than 6 hours each, maybe 10 back and forth communications per day. Sometimes they would reach out to the chatbot. Sometimes this chatbot, which was called TheraBot, would reach out to them. And at the end of 4 weeks, they assessed their symptoms. And there was a huge improvement. People with depression, 51% improvement. People with anxiety, there was a 31% improvement. And for people with risk of eating disorders, it was a 19% improvement. Those are all huge numbers, and they're comparable to the kinds of numbers you see for people getting therapy from humans in twice the amount of time. So in other words, the AI chatbot was working twice as quickly as humans doing the same job, probably because it was easier to have a quick therapy session at any point in time and not have to wait until that weekly 45-minute session. So it shows a lot of promise. It shows that these AI bots can do quite well, even though they were being observed by the psychiatrist to make sure it didn't do anything off the rails. It didn't do anything off the rails. So on the one hand, this is a really good sign that the future is looking bright for having these large language models help with therapy, that they might start to fill this gap. On the other hand, a lot of people are saying, hold on, use caution, because this was a specially trained model. If you just tried to use ChatGPT for this, it might not do the same thing. And in fact, it might cause a lot of damage. You can imagine a scenario where somebody who's at risk of developing an eating disorder says to their chatbot, I think I need to lose 20 pounds. If it's the therapy one that's been trained, it's probably going to ask some questions like, well, how much do you weigh now? Or why do you think you need to lose that weight? Whereas ChatGPT might just say, okay, well, here's some exercise things we can do. Here's a way we can eat differently, feeding into that problem and making it worse. So we have to proceed with caution, but the future does look bright. It's very exciting. Isn't it, Freya? Come here. Let's finish this video with like a ball throw or something. Come on. Do you still have that ball? Yeah, you do. Good girl. Oh, she dropped it. It's kind of the close. Same thing. Come here. Good girl. Do the ball. Oh, no. This video is just not going to end that way. Anyway, that's my favorite science story this week. I've also looked at 4 more. They're in my newsletter. If you want to hear about them, go to followthebatsignal.com. It's a free weekly newsletter, and you should sign up. Come on, Frey. Come on. Oh, I like it. Good girl. There, that's a good ending of our video.